Starting in the name of Allah, the most merciful, mighty and gracious to all. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and welcome to the class of Human Resource Management. Students, today we are going to discuss the 8th lecture of Human Resource Management, and this lecture is about the selection process. The main content of the lecture is foundations of selection. If you remember, we started the course and then we first initially start the implications of human resource management. It means that various issues connected with the human resource management, like workforce diversity, technology, globalization, and different indigenous perspectives of human resource management. And then after that we started the major activities of human resource management. Under those activities we first start the first initial function of human resource management, that was staffing function. And under the staffing function we first discussed about the strategic human resource planning session, or simply stated employment planning on HRP. If you remember, I told you that HRP, that is a planning about the human resources done by your HRM department. What basically the HR management done here, in this human resource planning, HR basically do the forecasting about the needs of the human resources, that how many people we require in the future and what about the current status of the employees. They basically study the demand and supply of the human resources needs. Upon completion of human resource employment planning, then we discussed the next part, that was recruitment process. And if you remember, already we have discussed that what is the recruitment process, that how companies attract the human resources toward the organizational vacant positions. We discuss under the recruitment process the internal recruitment and external recruitment. When organizations want to do internal recruitment, so what types they basically use, like employee referrals, employee recommendation. And when the organizations are unable to get a pool of talent from their internal environment, so then organization move to the labor market, and then they have to attract the people from the external environment. So then they use the different sorts of recruitment, which is known as your external recruitment. Then we discuss the various types of external recruitment, like cyberspace recruitment, internet recruitment, some agencies we have, some temporal agencies we have, schools and universities graduates concept, walk-ins, unsolicited applicants, and there are so many different methods. Now once the recruitment process is done, now the next thing is that people have to submit their CVs to the HR department. Now from here we have another step which is known as your selection process. Foundations of selection. In this lecture we will discuss that what is the base of selection, or simply stated we can say that what is selection process. And then we will discuss that how the selection process, because I am saying that selection is a process. So process simply means that it will be a process that contains the multiple steps. So here in foundations of selection we will discuss about the various steps comes under your selection process. But before starting the selection process, let me first highlight that what the selection process is, how different books or management explains the selection process. There are so many definitions of selection process. I would like to share a few of the definitions with you regarding the selection process. One author simply said that what is selection? Selection is simply a technique, a method that where appropriate or adequate number of individuals are to be opted for the organization. Another philosopher, he simply explained the process of selection as selection is a technique that where an individual among the alternatives are to be opted for the organization. Another definition of selection, when organization has multiple alternatives and organization HR department want to make a decision that they have to opt clear an appropriate alternative. to fulfill the organizational vacant position, that is known as the selection process. Or sometimes we have the choose or the chosen state regarding clear to an individual with appropriate skill to fulfill the vacant gap inside the organization. Such decision process is known as your selection process. Theoretically, when we study the selection process, we simply say that theoretically within a selection process, typically we have total 8 steps. The initial step, that is initial screening interview. The second step, that is completion of the application form. The third step, that is employment tests. The fourth, that is comprehensive interviews. Fifth, background investigation. Sixth, conditional job offer. Seventh, medical or sometime physical examination. And the last, that is permanent job offer. Typically or theoretically, when we discuss the selection process, we simply say the selection process contains 8 steps, but practically it is not necessary that each organization must possess all these 8 steps. Not at all. Sometimes most of the organizations, they start from the initial screening interview and directly they come toward the employment tests or employment interviews, and directly they come toward the permanent job offer. मतलब ज़रूरी नहीं था कि हर यो organization हतमन बदा 8 step follow कई. Not at all. डेर organization दा सीधी कि अवलिने step follow की direct द्रम step तराशी. द्रम step न पास चले direct चिकम दे. For example, अगा 4th step तराशी, and after 4 step चले complete number 8 step तराशी permanent job offer. 6 steps चिकम दे दा पके skip की. डेर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दा सीधी कि अव्वल 2 स्टेप चिकम दे फॉलो कई, द्रयम हम फॉलो कई, सलोरम हम फॉलो कई, और डायरेक्ट चिकम दे 8 स्टेप तराशी. डेर रकम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दा सीधी कि फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड स्टेप फॉलो कई, डायरेक्ट कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इंटरव्यू 4 स्टेप तराशी, और किदेशी ब्या पके 5th स्टेप तराशी, और ब्या चेदे डायरेक्ट परमानेंट जॉब ऑफर तराशी. और डेर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दा सीधी कि 1 तर अतमापुर 12 स्टेप्स पके फॉलो कई. It is depend upon on the nature of the organization. So typically we are going to discuss all the 8 steps in the selection process, but it is not necessary, or that is up to the nature of the organization, that what type of step clear they are basically following in their selection process. Before starting each step in detail, let me give you an overview about the human resource or selection process. Selection process start kawulu na pehla ज़बताशुला ये ओवरकोट है उन्हें व्यू दर कमा कि द सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस कार संग कई ब्या इंशाल्लाह 1 by 1 स्टेप चिकम दे. अब हम इंशाल्लाह डिटेल की गुरु मुरा अवल चिकम दे. इट स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द इनिशियल स्क्रीनिंग. इफ का योर ऑफर इनिशियल स्क्रीनिंग के फेल शो, सो डायरेक्टली द पर्सन विल कम टू द रिजेक्शन लिस्ट. मतलब यो कस चिकम दे इनिशियल स्क्रीनिंग के फेल करो नगाचू की अगर डायरेक्ट रिजेक्टेड एप्लीकेंट लिस्ट के राशि उस यो नफर चिकम दे इनिशियल स्क्रीनिंग पास करो. सो नाउ ही विल बी मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्टेप, दैट इज कंप्लीटेड एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म. उसका दलता यो कस दलता फेल शो, सो देन अगेन गोरी द एरो दैट विल मूव टू द रिजेक्टेड एप्लीकेंट, द कस पर रिजेक्ट शी. लेकिन इफ द कस का दलता पास शो, so the person will be moved to the next point, next step, that will be employment test. Here I'm not going to explain these steps clear. Here I'm just going to explain the process, that if any of the individual pass the initial screening test in that step, so the person will move to the next step, that is completed application form. If the person is passed here, so then the person is moved to the next step, that is employment test. If the person is passed here, so the person will be moved toward the comprehensive interview. If the person fails here, the person will be rejected. Dalta bakas shi, dalta bakas reject shi. If kakas dalta pass kigi, now again we have 2 options. If the person is passed, so he will be given awarded by conditional job offer. Ab under the conditional job offer, if the person, for example, their organization dasiri कि अगर डायरेक्ट तासोला परमानेंट जॉब ऑफर वर्की, लेकिन डेर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दासी कि कल कंडीशनल जॉब ऑफर वर्की अवई ची यो बल एग्जाम तराशी, एंड दैट एग्जाम इज नोन एज योर बैकग्राउंड एग्जामिनेशन. if ka background examination of an individual is passed, no bia kho individual che de medical test tarashi. Lekin if ka background investigation is, for example, not passed, no person again will be rejected here. Us dalta che kam de kam kasan che background investigation clear shi, they will be moved toward the next step, which is medical examination. If a person is passed under the medical examination, so that will be offered the permanent job offer. If the person is not fit for the medical examination, so then person will be again rejected here. So that is a selection process. Awal selection process mata sula initial screening kro che da kar sanga kai. Che gura aha kasan che initial screening na pass shi. So they will be moved to the next step, completed application form. Daltam pass shi, move to the next step, employment form. If any of the condition ke, if any of the step ke ka kasan fail shwal, so then the person will be rejected. No da khalak dalta na rashi direct reject shi. Sayshwa? No, in this way the overall selection process sayshwa works. Hope inshallah a bit idea will be clear. Uskura the overall selection process chekam de, it contains multiple steps. Now we are going to study each step in detail. Our step de, that is initial screening step. Now let me a bit explain what is initial screening. If you concentrate here, gore that is tasara initial screening. We have two words here. One is initial. Initial means ibtidai, and screening means scanning. Simply stated. It means starting scanning process. Chigura kala hum recruitment process organization start ki. No recruitment process ke organization se kai recruitment process ke HRM department, they basically share the vacant empty positions information with the public. Now in response of that recruitment process, the public, the people, the candidate, they will send their resumes. Khpal CV gane chekam de HR department ta send ki jita so ta shortlisting wai. No gura us ta shortlisting na pehla chekam de organization se kai organization initial screening kai. Guri che aya mung sara, for example, sura CV gane rale. Ab this CV gano che come scanning process te, the come screening process te, that scanning process is known as your initial screening. The first stage of selection process, whereby job inquiries are sorted. Job inquiries simply means the resumes, the CVs are sorted. Sorted means search out, list out, tartib work ki. Ab now initial screening che come de, it depends upon on two steps, or simply stated it comprises on two steps. Initial screening ke dwa step adi jo organization kar sanga kai. Yaw step te awal screening inquiries sanga che mas sasta hue, that is known as the exploration of the job inquiries, exploration of the CVs. And second step te under the initial screening, that is screening interviews. मतलब che interview वगैरह या screening interviews हम देता वही, और देता some books की initial interview हम वही under initial screening. Now let's start from the first step, initial screening step के अवलने step थे, that is screening inquiries. अब screening inquiries, that is basically the exploration process. Exploration मतलब da they find out, search out what? Search out about the CVs of the people, search out about the contents of the people regarding to the CVs. If we have greater number of potential candidates, we will screen them based on experience, education, sexual, and so many numbers. Let's suppose organization sara der ya CV gaane rale. No us organization, as I told you, organization bawal se kai HR department job inquiries with search ki. That sura hum che CV gaane rale organization sara they were sorting shuru ki, they were exploration, they were searching shuru ki. Ab what basically they search? They search the experiences. Daguri che aya kam required experience mung ta pokar di. Really the person possess in the CV or not? Like suppose tasta wayama che I need a person, like the person must possess the 5+ years experience. As you na farde agar sirf 2 year experience se, it means this person is now not eligible for the organization. Why? Because he is not meeting the experience requirement of the organization. No zeka اولنه organization څه کوي اولنه organization search out about the experience that where the person is meeting to the required experience or not. Next they basically explore about the education level, that whatever the job description clear required the education, really the person specification is meeting to this requirement of the organization or not. मतलब second चीज जो job screening की कतल कीगी या screening inquiries की कतल कीगी, that is education. आया चे कम education required दे need दे organization दा आया candidate मगा education possess कई का आगा education न possess कई. For example, I need a person who has clear a relevant degree of business administration. Under the business administration we need clear the person who is specialized in human resource management. बुरे वो suppose organization चे कम job announce करे दे अगर job दे पारा organization ता अगर कस पकार दा चे mastery लरी पर business administration के नो उस कुरा चे mastery लरी पर business administration के नो अगी education कुरा business administration के को डेर रिश्ते दी फाइनेंस में रसी मार्केटिंग में रसी HR में रसी सही शुरा देना अलावा इकोनॉमिक्स हम पके रसी सही शुरा नो कुरा उस आहा कसान से सोक मास्टरी लरी पर बिजनेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के सही शुरा अब टूल सीबी गाने राउली लेकिन कसान होता ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो सोक पकार दी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से सिर्फ आहा कसान पकार दी दैट हु होल्ड अ मास्टर डिग्री and they have their specialization in human resource management. It means finance person mastery लरी सही हुआ लेकिन अगर eligible न दे education wise because he has a management degree, सही हुआ he has administration degree but his specialization or her specialization is not in the human resource management. So the person who possesses the administrative degrees, mastered in administrative degrees, and then they have specialization in human resource management, so these persons education wise are relevant or they are fulfilling the need of the organization. So second thing, the first they basically count the experiences, second they study explore about the education, third the point which they basically study under the screening inquiries, that is to see if they had too many jobs in the short term or not. Second CV की दा गोरी चे आया यो कस चे दे आगे सूरा जॉबू न बदल करी दी. They basically check out that for example in a long span of time or in a short span of time how many jobs are variated by a person. गोरा का यो कस चे दे for example your organization के सलोर काला तीर करी दी, बल organization के द्री काला तीर करी दी, बल organization के पिंज़ काला तीर करी दी. It means the देना से शो कीगी देना the person's step nature शो कीगी. सही वाला चे person चे कम दे आगा काम दे. सही हुआ इफ का यो कस से अगर देर शॉर्टली जॉबू न चेंज कई मतलब यो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के 5-6 मंथ तेर करी दी बल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के यो काल तेर करे दे बिया बल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन त लड़ो सही हुआ अलता यो मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल 3 or 4 months तेर करी दी. इट मींस दैट within a short period of time, within a short span of time, the person is varianted in the job. This will provide clear the urgent clear nature of the या short temper nature of the individual. उस गुरा देखिए ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से गुरी देखिए ऑर्गेनाइजेशन द इंडिविजुअल नेचर गुरी चे आया इंडिविजुअल यो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सरा सोरा लॉयल दे या सोरा टाइम परे फॉर एग्जांपल स्टे कवलेशी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सरा नो दा हम यो पॉइंट थे चे कम के स्क्रीनिंग इन इंक्वायरीज या एक्सप्लोरेशन के HR डिपार्टमेंट चे दे आगा गुरी. सेकंड फोर्थ इनिशियल इंक्वायरीज के या एक्सप्लोरेशन स्टेप के यो बल पॉइंट चे कम कतल कीगी दैट इज न्यूमरस कोर्सेज एंड शॉर्ट सेमिनार्स इंस्टेड ऑफ प्रॉपर एजुकेशन. मतलब प्रॉपर डिग्री ना अलावा लाइक बैचलरी या मास्टरी ना अलावा दा गुरी चे आया कैंडिडेट चे कम दे कम कोर्सेज के सर्टिफाइड थे वो सारा कम एक्स्ट्रा सर्टिफिकेशंस लरी यानी फॉर एग्जांपल यो कस्ते अगर बैचलरी या मास्टरी लरी सेक्चुअल इन ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट आया दिस पर्सन इज सर्टिफाइड इन द हैरिस और नॉट ह्यूमन रिसोर्स इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम. आया दिस पर्सन क्लियर हैज अ सर्टिफिकेशन ऑफ MIS मैनेजमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम. आया दिस आर रिक्वायर्ड सॉफ्टवेयर एबिलिटी स्टक नष्टा रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट फॉर एग्जांपल जो सॉफ्टवेयर दी यानी SPSS स्टैटिस्टिक्स के पारे इस्तेफादा की दर रकम से सॉफ्टवेयर दी कड़ी दी देर अलावा से शॉर्ट टर्म सेमिनार दे अटेंड करी दी देना अलावा से ट्रेनिंग दे आखस्ती दी सही हुआ दैट टूल सी दैट टूल पॉजिटिव एज दे यो इंडिविजुअल दे पारा नो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या HR डिपार्टमेंट इनिशियल स्क्रीनिंग के सही हुआ अंडर इनिशियल स्क्रीनिंग अंडर स्क्रीनिंग इंक्वायरीज के एक्सप्लोरेशन कई अबाउट द सीवीज मतलब CV सर्च आउट कई. No CV search out को वो लोग के they check out the experience of the candidate, they check out the education of the individual, they check out clear the temper of the individual, and they check out clear the different short term courses clear and other trainings as well. دا خو شو تاسو اولنی step that is in screening inquiries. اب under the initial screening مطلب initial scanning د دې دنه چې بل کوم step دی that is screening interviews. ګوره ډیر بوکس کې screening interviews ته screening initial interviews هم وایي. First of all let me explain چې دا دې څه کوشش کوي organization یا HR department چې چرته we have very effective HR department. HR department کوشش کوي هغه کسان چې they have the intentions to join clear or they are serious to join the organization. نو organization کې human resource department چې کوم دی یا HR management چې کوم ده هغه یو initially interview employee نه conduct کی کېدای شي دا موستلی ټلیفونیکی صحیح شو. نو دې کې HR department first of all هغوی چې د seriousness ګوري چې really the people are serious to join our organization, so they want to basically dig out that آیا دا کس چې کوم دی really serious دی زموږ organization join کولو ده کنه. پهله خبره. second خبره initial interviews کې چې they basically get an idea clear about the salary range from the individual. دا تاسو کوي individual نه صحیح شو چې آیا کومه سیلري مونږ لګي ډیفاین کوو تاسو لپاره یا کومه سیلري مونږ تاسو لور کوو. نو آیا تاسو په دې سیلري باندې مونږ سره کار کوئ که دې سیلري باندې مونږ سره کار کول نه غواړئ. بیسیکلی they identify, they give an idea about the salary to the individual and they want to know that the person is serious clear to work upon this salary or not. Now دا چې کوم ورکوټه غونه discussion دی between the HR department and the potential candidate, this section is simply known as your initial interview section or initial screening interview section. Basically that is a discussion between the HRM department, or this is the initial discussion between HR department and the potential candidate where they dig out, the HR department dig out, find out the intensity, the seriousness of the candidate clear, and basically find out the intensity regarding to the salary. So now let's start. HRM will arrange a preliminary means starting initially interview to describe the job in detail so that to find out what the applicant who really want the job. ګوره ماغه خبره چې دا یو starting initial interview دی چې HR department هغه candidate سره کوي about the job. job کې څه ګوري؟ job کې further detail اخستل غواړي. as I told you job کې کم detail اخستل غواړي؟ دوه detail اخستل غواړي. یو خدا دا چې آیا دا کس really serious دی join کول غواړي. second دا کس for example په دې salary باندې کار کول غواړي چې کم لګي organization offer کوي. so therefore to find out that applicant who really want the job, number one the unqualified withdraw. اوس دې کې هغه کسان چې for example they are not serious. ضروري نه ده چې serious مطلب کې دې شي یو کس چې هغه CV را لګلې و لیکن هغه بل چرته کار وشو هغه ته نور چرته جاب ملاوي شو. اوس چې organization ورته کانټیکټ کوي نو هغه ویلی شي کنه چې یاره ما ته خو نور چرته جاب ملاو دی نو زه نشم راتلی یا زه ستاسو علاقې نه ډېر لرې یم صحیح شوه نو زه نشم راتلی صحیح شوه. یا organization for example تاسو ماله دا سیلري راکوئ په دې باندې زه اګریډ نه یم کانټریکټ کولو دپاره صحیح شوه. نو دا څوک دي دا هغه کسان دي دا they are unqualified صحیح شوه. نو the unqualified will withdraw. نو هغه کسان چې کوم انټرسټډ نه دي جاب کې اب اتوماتیکلی سکرینینګ انټرویو کې به withdraw شي صحیح شوه دا به لرې شي. second to tell the applicant his salary range. چې هغه خبره ده چې ما څنګه تاسو وې چې ګوره HR department چې کومه سیلري جاب لپاره منشن کړي ده ټاکلې ده دا به څه کوي دا به هغه کینډیډیټ ته وایي. نو کینډیډیټ ته به تاسو کوي چې دې جاب لپاره we are offering 10,000 Fs یا 15,000 Fs. are you agree to proceed your contract upon the 15 or 10,000 salary. اوس کا candidate for example willing دی so then the person will be proceed for the next selection process step. if the candidate is not for example fulfilling or not agreed upon this salary range no bya sare kas che de ab mazrat ogwadi. so that was basically the initial screening process clear. no initial screening ke master ta shuru ki hue che sarang CV gane rashi no that is basically the screening process regarding to the CVs of the applicant che kam tamunga daga worko lafaz worko job inquiries. no gora the screening process ki sanga screening process basically पर दो तरीकों की यो नंबर 1 स्क्रीनिंग इंक्वायरीज दे چې کم کې CV غانه ایکسپلور کیږي سرچ آउट کیږي په کم بیس باندې په کم اساس باندې هغه په ایکسپیرینس ایجوکیشن او نیومرس کورسز شارټ سیمینارز وغیرہ ټریننګز وغیرہ په اساس باندې. سیکنډ چې کم یو خلکو ایکسپیرینس ایجوکیشن کورسز وغیرہ with relevant مطلب organizational need fulfill کوي نو they will be proceed for the next step. چې کم یو خلک دا requirement نه پوره کوي they will be withdraw from the step. second کې څه دی چې اچ آر ډپارټمنټ یو ورکوټه غوړي انټرویو ډسکشن ساتي پوتنشل کینډیډیټ سره چې صرف پکې دا تاسو کې چې آیا ته سیریس یې زموږ ارګنایزیشن جوړ کولو ته and the second thing they basically dig out that either clear you want to proceed clear your job or contract upon this defined salary or not نو دلته خپل wish شو کی candidate نو دا چې کوم initial process دی یا initial screening process دی this process is simply known as your initial screening step hope inshallah a bit idea will be